Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. I'm Tobias, and this is Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Stick around, it's going to be a fun one. Well, at the beginning of the year, I mentioned that I was going to be picking up knives with wood handles, particularly knives that were not made in the United States and had olive wood handles. And a while back, I picked up this one. This is the 453L by Cudeman, and I really liked it. It's obviously very much a toothpick style knife. It's definitely a powder horn, well, you can see the blade there. I mean, very much a traditional style of toothpick blade going on there with your very long clip, which is often referred to as a California or Turkish clip, depending on who made it or who you're talking to. And you notice it's got a wonderful saber grind, which is very much an original style of toothpick blade. And then you've got the powder horn frame. It's got a little bit of a finger groove there, so it's not 100% typical of your American-made toothpick, but hard not to say that that is a toothpick, or at least a toothpick-style knife, but definitely a powder horn. Like I like to say, all toothpicks are powder horns, but not all powder horns are toothpicks. And that gets us to the next knife I just recently picked up by Kuderman, which is another powder horn, but definitely not your typical toothpick style of knife. And that one is back here. And let me look at the box real quick here. If you notice here, it says Navaja, folding knife, Taschenmesser, and then Couteau pliant. Please excuse my really lousy French, German, and Spanish, but all of those are words for folding knife. Navaja, we hear that often applied to a Spanish style of knife, typically this, but really a Navaja is just the Spanish word for knife or razor or blade. So any knife made in Spain can be called a Navaja, but typically when you hear it, you're thinking of a knife similar to this, which is a powder horn style of knife, and this is your classic Spanish style Navaja. And this next knife is also going to be a Spanish style Navaja, as in a powder horn. In any case, let's take a look at the knife. And so here we have it, the 304L by Cudeman. The L stands for olive wood. I'm not sure how that works out, but that's what all of their knives that have an L at the end, it means that it's an olive wood. And you see the wonderful grain of the olive wood going on in this knife. Again, brass pins, just like you had in the original, the 453L. And again, stainless steel liners going on with it. But if you notice, this is a ring pull or a ring lock type of knife, and that's the way you release the blade. And this is a very old style of a locking system that has been used on Spanish style powder horn knives for centuries. And this is, well, obviously, if you can tell, it's a little bit bigger than the other one. The other one was about 4 1/4 inches with a 3 3/4 inch blade, and this one is just shy of 5 inches with a blade that is just shy of 4 inches. So somehow it all comes out to just that 9 inches, which is a nice big long knife. There is a difference in the blade. You notice it is still a more or less a California or Turkish clip, in that it is a very long clip blade, but this is almost straight. It's a straight back clip going here, as opposed to this one, which has a little bit of a curve going on to it. And also this is a flat grind as opposed to the saber grind on the other one. Nice satin finish, even though it definitely will still reflect the light. And you can see there the Kuderman logo, maybe if I can get it there. And if you notice there, in the blade still is listed as Molibdeno Validio. Basically, it's millennium and vanadium in the steel here, and this is a basically a 4116 stainless steel, from what I can understand from everything I've read. The millennium vanadium steel, and it's quite common in kitchen cutlery in Spain, and that's why this steel is what it is. Kuderman makes other knives in this steel too. They either use their 420N, which is in this knife, or this millennium and vanadium steel, which, like I said, is a 4116. But all in all, this knife really feels good in the hand. You've got a lot of handle to grab onto, obviously, with it being 5 inches long. You do have the ring lock up here that you have to get used to, so if you're not familiar with using those, it could become problematic for you. And if you notice, they have this, what looks like a little bit of file work going on up there. Really what I think that is just jimping, because when you get your thumb on there, it does kind of lock in place, even though it is staggered going across there. But you can definitely get your hand locked in on that thumb, or on the jimping on the blade there. Came with a pretty decent edge on it. It could be a little bit sharper, but not really too much of a problem with that. The handles feel really nice. They're nice and smooth. The brass pins are in smooth with the wood, and if you can see the liners and the back spring, there is a little bit of gapping going on, but nothing dramatic or anything. You definitely do not see a whole lot of light shining through between the spring and the liners on there, and I don't know, it just feels good in the hand. You can also, with the little nub for the ring release here, you can actually push your thumb against that and lock your thumb in place right there too. So it all feels very good when you're holding it in your hand. And also get down there. I would not go into that. That is really not designed for a finger choil or anything. You're the finger groove here is where you want to keep your finger. You don't want it up on the blade there, and it's really not designed to go that way. So. As for the lock, it's very good. You can definitely break it with one hand. I would advise, if you're not familiar with how to do it, to use two hands in the beginning and hold that blade while you're closing it. And if you notice, there is definitely a catch up at the top here. It's not like a half stop or anything, but it's like the lazy half stop that I always talk about. So it does catch on the spring there before it closes. So you're not going to be able to just break the lock and swing it around closed. You'll have to close it against the side of your leg, or use your hand to close it. Same with opening it. It opens halfway, and then you got to push it in there to lock it. But the lock came a little stiffer than it is right now. And by lock, let me show you what it looks like right there, if I can see it. You see the little notch right there? That is going to engage into the spring up here, and that's how this blade locks in place. And once it's locked, it is there. You're not going to be able to push on it and close it. The only way you're going to be able to close it is to break it open by pulling back on the ring. And like I said, this is a system that has been used for centuries. This was actually the initial way they made it with the old Spanish Navajos to open and close with the locking blade. They would use the ring, and then later they switched over to what you see here, which is the little lever, which does the same thing. You open it up, and then the lever will lock it in place, and you press up on the lever to break it loose. But originally, the way it was done was with the ring lock, and any of those folks out there who are familiar with Okapis are also familiar with the ring lock. And as long as we're looking at this knife, why don't we compare it to an Okapi real quick? I mean, after all, anyone who is looking at that and knows of the Okapi was going, that's an Okapi, that's an Okapi. Well, yes it is, and yes it isn't, or no it isn't. If you notice, the Okapi has this outside spring as opposed to this one, which has an internal spring. they both work in the same way. Also, the Okapi, if you notice, it ratchets around. It's got the little ratchets, so it moves around like so. Each one of those ratchets catching until you get to the last one, which is the lock, and then it locks in place. But the way you open it is the same way. You have the ring release, and you pull up on the ring, and you break it loose, and then you can close it. But handle shape and everything else very much similar to the Okapi. The difference being the Okapi, if you notice the way the blade is cut back, it doesn't have nearly as much of a notch coming up here. And also, well, the clip is just a different type of clip blade going on there, if you notice there. So that's the big difference between the South African Okapi, which really began life in 1902, being made in Germany, and then for the South African market. So very similar to the Okapi, but I think it's a little more stylish. I like the way this looks a little bit more. And well, the ring lock is well, the same. The way the blade works is a little bit different, but all in all, very happy with this knife. Glad I picked it up, and yeah, definitely something that I'm going to go out and cut stuff with, because well, it looks nice, and got a really good blade, really nice slicing blade. So anyway, there it is, the latest of my olive wood knives, and the latest knife I picked up by Kuderman. And well, let's see if I can get this to sit somehow. You got that one there, and you got the little one here, and both of them look really pretty cool, especially next to each other. All right, stick around for some slides.
Yee doggy, I told you it was going to be a fun one. Sure hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment and give it that big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell, and go out there and tell your friends there's another episode just around the corner. Thanks a lot for visiting. Really appreciate you being here. Talk to you again soon.